Welcome back to Games Revealed. I'm James and also The Brink, and today I want to talk about the performance of the Steam Deck. And this has been a topic that I've just been pushing back on for a while because every time I try to get into it, I'm always just like, I have a hard time trying to find the content for it. There's a lot of videos, and that's nice, and I have to watch a lot. But I plan on doing this in multiple parts. I plan on doing the initial quick look of the performance, and I'll have some charts up above me while I'm talking about this. And then I'm gonna get into the deeper stuff of like versus the Steam Deck versus Ioneo and all that in another video. And I'm actually really excited to look into that. It's just gonna take a lot of work to, especially since I don't have the devices. But let's just real quick, like, subscribe, bash that bell with your crowbar before we continue. So let's talk about the Steam Deck performance. I'll say this just once, like, the lows and the highs on the Steam Deck for the performance, like the low and the highs of the FPS, got me a little concerned. Once again, I've watched people play it. It doesn't look bad. It looks like it's a little bit more varied than I would have seen in another device like this. Maybe I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments below if I am. It's got me a little worried. Let's go into some games now. Let's look into the real thing. So after looking at all the different things like the FPS, the battery, the different presets, it really looks like you can get a performance level that is going to be right for you. Whether it's something at 60 frames per second or 30 frames, but looks amazing. Really, you're going to be able to make this just tame the beast of the Steam Deck to get it to what you want. Really though, it's still, don't expect it to be an amazing device when hooked up to your TV and getting, mediums to highs at 120 frames. You're not going to get that. But for portable gaming and for the occasional console on the TV gaming, I think this is a great device, and the specs really, like what we're getting for the price, everything does actually say that it's pretty awesome. So let's look at these charts now. So first up is Borderlands 3, and this one's the one I'm most excited for because I like the Borderlands series a lot, and it actually has a pretty good range. Like the very low is 56 to 57, depending on your SSD SD card variation, like whether you're loading it off of one or the other, which is interesting that this doesn't happen much, but there is a little bit of a difference. And so, and I guess before I get further into this, I will be using lots of sources. The description will have those sources. I'm using Tom's Hardware, Gaming on Linux, and a couple other sources there in the description below. So with the Borderlands 3, the highs, I mean, you get 28 frames per second on average with the highs. Borderlands 3 at 1280 by 800 with Proton. And that's kind of an important thing because some of the games we're going to look at real quick will be Linux, and some will be Proton based, and they always go for the 1280 by 800 ratio because that's the native resolution of the device and what I believe is recommended to play most of the games. Now, that being said, you can go to a lower resolution, and some people are saying it's actually a pretty good experience. I'm probably going to stick. I want it to be 1080, to be honest. I like a higher resolution as opposed to a higher preset. Oftentimes, that's just me. But Borderlands 3 looks, really, to be honest, 28 at high it's pretty awesome. That's a pretty good little number to hit on average. And the DirectX 11 mode and the DirectX 12 mode with Proton 7.0 definitely looks like there's a little bit better performance with the DirectX 12 mode. So make sure you have that instead of DirectX 11. Just as a comparison, here's a chart right here or right here, wherever it is, some cards like the GeForce RTX 2060, which is a little older card now, but it has a performance level with Borderlands 3 of about the low 60 frames per second, and then the average is 74 frames per second FPS on that graphics card. So, and this is ultra quality. So we're definitely not hitting like desktop level performances for mid-range cards, but for a portable device that you can put in your backpack, that's still pretty great performance. I just want to throw that in there as just relations to, or, just to see how it relates, right? So Shadow of the Tomb Raider benchmark really does come out swinging pretty good. So its highest setting still gets 38 frames per second. And that is on Linux native though. So this is one of the games that is a Linux native. You don't need to do Proton. It just runs natively on Linux. And there's a couple other games like 7 Days to Die and a bunch, and you know, more games that are becoming more and more Linux compatible, which is really cool. And I kind of hope to see that. I actually like the idea of the openness of Linux and what we can do with Linux as opposed to Windows. And albeit I do work on Windows every day, I'd love to see Linux be dominant in the near future. So Horizon Zero Dawn, it's interesting. So Linus in his video, he indicates that like the performance is great early on. It's as you get further along in the game, it degrades. And I don't know if it's because you have more and more like stuff in your pack, more like abilities, maybe the environment gets more complex, but he noticed that things started to crash and all that, which gets me a little concerned because I believe this is a verified game and it really puts a little bit of an issue in Steam OS's verification process. So they might need to work on that. And if this continues to be a problem with some other games, it's going to greatly hurt the Steam Deck and its reputation. But that's one of the only channels I've ever really heard that from. It was from Linus, but I believe him. The Horizon Zero Dawn benchmarks are the favor performance is 48, and then the ultimate quality is 30 to 31, which that's pretty good, right? So I'm pretty excited for Horizon Zero Dawn, to be honest. The mins can get kind of so the mins on high are 7. It can drop down to 7 frames per second on Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, when I say averages are 30, that's cool, but what are those like? Are you going to be in combat? What's going to happen? This is why I say the mins and the max kind of got me a little worried. Is that, and to be honest, max is important, but like min's the most important thing. That's going to make it so that the gameplay is sluggish, right? And whether it's choppy, and that's what I got. I'm a little concerned about some games with their the min FPS that they hit. So, okay, Red Dead Redemption 2 for the favor of the performance is looking at a 50 frames per second on the SD card, and that looks pretty good. I'll be honest, like, but once again, it's favor performance, so it's lowest, right? And so I'm kind of curious what that would look like at a higher frame rate. And when I get my deck, I'm going to make sure I do all the goodies and do all the games that I'm interested in, like Cyberpunk 2077. CD Projekt Red just recently said that they're going to be working hard to make sure that Cyberpunk and Witcher are supported on Witcher 3, to be precise. They're not going to do older games. They did say that will be supported on the Steam Deck. And so it still looks good though. Like we have high settings of on average 28 frames per second, medium at 36. Once again, the mins on that are 18. So the lowest that frames will go is at 18. That being said, if that's just every once in a while, the min frames, if it's just like a couple of frames that hit that, but it still really tries to stay in those 30s, then it's not too big of a deal. It's got me a little worried. 18, not horrible, but it will still feel a little sluggish. So yeah, Cyberpunk should play well, and I've watched people play it. It plays well, and if they can optimize it, even better. Really, that's all I have today for this performance. I just wanted to go through a couple of pieces before I do a really big deep dive, because I've been meaning to make this video and make it go and publish it, because it's been so long since the deck's been out, and this is probably one of the things that people want the most, and it's what I want the most. I want to know if my games play well on it and if they're optimized. So far, my final conclusion is they're gonna play decent right now. I'm a little concerned about some of those frame drops, but really, I've watched people play it. It doesn't seem too bad, but it is still a concern of mine. It really does look like a really good experience on the go. So far, nothing looks bad, but let's compare it to the other devices in the next video. So let me know in the comments below what you think about the performance of the device, what games you would like me to maybe cover on performance in the next few videos. And that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure to check out my other videos after this. Peace out. Later.